your first. Before I dive in, I want to play a quick game, and it's a word association game. So when I say math, you say fill in the blank in the comments below. The question, I say math, you say, okay, seems bland. But here's the thing. I started this business and had no idea the amount of financial illiteracy going on with freelancers everywhere. So many people ride cash flow because they have the income that rather than plan and prepare for their money, they just hate math. They don't like the thought of dealing with finances. It's not the fun and sexy side of their business. And so essentially, they pull an ostrich and they stick their head in the sand. And for your future, that is terrifying. But I get it, right? And I was kind of thinking through this as I was listening to people tell me their stories. And what I'm realizing is that we are slightly traumatized by middle school math. It's funny because I sell a product where I help people automate their accounting, right? And that brings up a lot of fears for people. Like, am I going to have to do math? A subconscious one, am I going to have to hold myself accountable to a budget? um what is this going to take from me? Like, that's not really fun. And I think what it is they're flashing back to middle school math, where you were given a question that was intentionally challenging, and quite frankly, it didn't really benefit you, aside from learning, of course, how to do the equation. The difference between adult math, freelance math, is that it's really about our money. And I have to tell you that math is fun when you're making money, and it's funner when it's about your money, right? But for whatever reason, I just don't think that people really struggle getting past the associations they have with like a previous math class. They think that the way that they were taught is the way that they're going to learn now. And so when we built the course, what it actually did was include an online calculator for freelancers. It was designed for freelancers, solopreneurs, independents, very specifically, right? So you're only getting questions served unique to you, and it's only calculating things that are relevant for you and your business, because you can't be all things to all people, right? So if you're going to solve the problem and not make them think, you have to do this. You would never see that in middle school math. Really, one year I had a teacher that wouldn't let us use a calculator. And oh my gosh, let me just say the first few months of that were so rocky. Later on, I got really good. She was right. Am I glad she did it now? Kind of, kind of. But I mean, if I'm being honest, I use a calculator. I pull out my phone and I do that. And we're seeing it everywhere. Like when you go to the checkout, it literally tells the cashier how much change to give you so that they can't really screw it up. And we've even gone that extra step, right? Where some of them even spin out the money for them so they don't even have to count it. When you think of automating your finances and learning about math, I really want to make sure you're not like flashbacking to middle school and like some of you are experiencing this like PTSD situation, right? It is a program built for you, designed to work for you. And that is probably one thing that most people aren't asking for when they like look for a financial partner, right? So I'll give you an example. QuickBooks has you do a lot of work. Even though they automate some things, it is still a lot of work. You still have to reconcile. You still have to um, for a while, matching receipts was like pretty iffy, right? What if I told you you could skip QuickBooks altogether? Like, you don't even need them. What if your bank could have you attach receipts? What if your bank could auto categorize expenses for you, where you create a rule just like you would in QuickBooks? And oh, by the way, they're not charging you $60 a month or whatever it is that you're paying, right? Because it's free. In fact, they have your money and you're earning interest on money that you gave them, right? And so there's just a lot of things that I think freelancers do on autopilot because they just don't know better. And so if you know me, you're probably tired of hearing me about saying, like, think about the things you do on autopilot because they might not be serving you well. So, anyways, if you're interested in learning more about how you can automate the less fun parts of your business, we try our best to make a party out of it, and you can learn more at thebusinessofefficiency.com.